Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Today, we want to provide you with a brief update, and you'll hear from a list of people, and so we'll just get going right now. At 12 o'clock today, I signed a declaration of the state of emergency for the city of Memphis. This allows us the ability to adjust our services to meet the needs of our citizens. The extended periods of sub-freezing weather combined with the 4.5+ inches of snow accumulation have created the need for us to take extraordinary measures. And so just to contextualize the current weather emergency, the average low in Memphis for this time of year is about 33 degrees. The average high is about 51. Today, we have a high of 12 degrees. And we will not get above 32 until Thursday, and then we'll drop again until at least Sunday. So average snowfall for this time of year is normally about 1/2 inch. And so far, we are looking at 4+ inches of accumulation over the past 12 hours, with a little more expected. Just one more nugget of information. Since 1875, we've only had 41 events of snowfall over 4 inches. But please know that the city of Memphis never closes. Our teams are out there working very hard right now to keep the residents of Memphis safe. We are on the job, and we'll continue to monitor and responding to the changing conditions. So I'm going to turn it over to Doug McGowan, the president of MLGW, and he'll give his update next.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to report that all of the MLGW systems are currently operating within normal limits. We have had some minor interruptions. We've had several water main breaks that our crews are actively repairing, but they haven't had any impact on the system overall, the availability or quality of water. If you've looked at our outage map, you see that occasionally outages are popping up. We had one of about 200 out in the Collierville area that's going on right now as a result of a car striking a pole and some wires coming down. Our crews are there to repair it, but I'm very pleased with their response. I'm thankful for them staying on top of those outages, especially in the very cold weather. Our gas supply is plentiful. We have lots of reserve. We have seen an increase in demand as people are using more gas for their heating. And so things are looking good right now. But I do want to harken back to what the mayor said. This is a historic period of cold in the depth of the temperatures, in other words, how cold they are and how long they are staying around. So this will go down as one of the coldest, longest periods we've had in a while. And that's what leads me to my next discussion, and that's about the impacts to both our water system and our electric system. So first with water, as I said, we've been relatively fortunate so far with only a small number of breaks. We have not heard any broad-ranging frozen pipe stories from residents or businesses, but that could change the longer things stay cold. It could also impact our water mains the longer things stay cold. And what you should expect is when those temperatures come back up on Thursday, that's when we'll start to see those leaks really manifest themselves. As the ground gives way, as it thaws itself, there may be some leaks that manifest. So we'll be paying attention to that at that point. But right now, we're in very good shape. For the electric system, again, there are no impacts to our local distribution. But as I mentioned at our last press conference, the depth of this cold snap covers a very large part of the southern United States. That puts a significant pressure on the electric generation system to meet the demand. We are seeing electric demand across the entire southern United States increase day by day. We anticipate that tomorrow morning it will be higher than it is this afternoon. Tomorrow night, on Tuesday night, it will be near its all-time high. And on Wednesday morning, we think it might actually reach its record high for our area. And so as I've talked to you about what we can do locally, as I watch that, if I think there is a need for us to collectively conserve energy, I will issue an energy conservation alert. And to remind everybody what that means, first of all, turn off that space heater that you have on your house because that's an energy hog. Second, turn off unnecessary lights, large appliances, and avoid using as much electricity as you possibly can. This is a voluntary measure to prevent something that would be mandatory, and mandatory would be rolling blackouts as a result of not conserving energy. So we're in very good position. TVA, who's our energy supplier, feels like they're in very good position. But if conditions change substantially, we could, and we don't conserve energy when I issue that order, then we might have to do something like that. Just want to double down and say, Tomorrow, sometime between noon and tomorrow evening is when I would first expect to issue that energy conservation order. And the period of highest threat is between noon on Tuesday and noon on Wednesday when it begins to warm again. Again, as I said the other day at the press conference, this is no time to panic. It's just time to prepare. We have things in order to respond to this cold snap, and we're in about as good a position as we can be going into this. So I hope that everybody will pay attention when I issue that order, and I thank you for your cooperation in advance. Should things change, we will give you as much information, as much heads up as we possibly can. So with that, I'll turn it over to Robert Connect, who's now going to talk about road conditions and other public works matters.
Thanks, President McGowan. First, I want to thank the men and women of Public Works who have been working nonstop since 7 a.m. yesterday. They're committed and hardworking and for getting the job done. As I said, starting yesterday at 7 a.m., we did begin the process of pre-treating our roads with salt brine. We spent all that day and into Sunday morning doing the necessary work to do as much preventative and proactive work. While it may not have been evident to citizens because we did receive quite a bit of snowfall, I mean, it was an effort to minimize the effects of so much frozen precipitation on the roadways, and at least we were able to mitigate some initial effects. Since that time, starting around noon, 1 o'clock yesterday, our salt and sand trucks have been working again with our de-icing work. So salt and sand being applied on bridges and overpasses, inclines and declines on major routes. This morning at 7 a.m., we activated 15 plows to start removing and managing snow on roadways. That work will continue until the foreseeable future. Obviously, with the sheer amount of snowfall that is accumulated, it's going to take a number of days to clear at least one lane in each direction. We have utilizing all of our plows internally, and we have brought in an external contractor to help assist us in this effort to clear the roadways. I do want to be clear about one thing that most citizens may not be familiar with, and is as we plow roadways, we will create snow rows. And snow rows means that we potentially block up a driveway with snow. Unfortunately, that is unintended consequence, and you may need to make allowance for that if you plan to leave your driveway. So understand that it's something that has to be done, but it also has an impact to your driveway and need to be prepared for that. We will continue to operate, as I said, for the foreseeable future, both on snow and ice and plowing, in an effort to clear as much of the roadways as possible. We are closely working with the state of Tennessee in communication, as in coordination, as they are responsible and working not only on the interstate, but state routes. They prioritize state routes based on the size and the frequency of use. So you'll see that their production as well in our coordination together. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Davis with MPD so she can make her updates.
Thank you. Thank you. So over the last 24 hours, our dedicated staff at MPD have responded to at least 125 weather-related traffic accidents, stranded motorists, and are manning various designated warming stations as well. However, the current weather conditions still pose a significant threat on our roads and risk to our residents, and it's imperative for everyone to take the necessary precautions to stay safe. So we ask that today and this evening, you limit travel. I know everybody's heard that over and over again. Limit travel and stay off the roads if possible, as driving in these conditions can be extremely dangerous for everyone. So while we are relentless in our response to our community, our current response time has not been adversely impacted. We are getting to calls for service in a timely fashion. In the next 24 hours, if you cannot avoid driving, please ensure that your vehicle is equipped with emergency supplies and that you drive with the utmost caution, and do not forget your cell phone. We don't want anybody stranded without being able to communicate. Additionally, I encourage you to check on vulnerable neighbors and other individuals that have disabilities that might need your attention, some of our elderly community, so that we can assist them to get the care that they might require during these frigid conditions. And tonight, if you're out, drive slowly. We've got activities still planned for this evening. If you're out at the game or any other activity, drive slowly and watch out for black ice, because as the temperatures continue to drop, snow will turn to freezing roads. So by working together and looking out for one another, we can all get through this weather event unscathed. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Greg Wayne with the Memphis Office of Emergency Management with the Memphis Fire Department. Talking about the snowfall, fortunately, it looks like that this round of weather has moved out. We may see some flurries again throughout the day, but the major snowfall is over for us. That snow was measured at least 3 inches all across Shelby County. Most areas of Memphis reported 4 inches or greater, and the official count from the National Weather Service office within the city of Memphis at 2 o'clock was 5.2 inches of measurable snow there. Mayor Young talked about a plan Friday. You've heard some parts of that plan today, how it's being enacted. Another part of that plan was we sent communications back and forth all week, started meeting midweek. We met regularly. Again, part of that plan was activating the Emergency Operations Center for the city of Memphis. We planned that, did that proactively yesterday, had staff monitoring 24/7 to help coordinate some of these responses that we've talked about today, and will continue to do throughout the week until this situation is fully mitigated. As Chief Davis spoke, the roads still are hazardous. Director Connect spoke to how that's being addressed, but at this point, we still do have hazardous roads out there. So again, we'd like to implore you to stay at home unless absolutely necessary that you get out. Talked about some of the infrastructure already in terms of power, energy, gas, and roadways. All other major infrastructure is doing okay as far as we know. We've had no reports of any issues concerning major infrastructure, and that includes our hospital and medical systems. Now, a message from the Mid-South Emergency Planning Coalition in relation to hospitals. I know it's been publicized already. It's been on the news. Hospitals have seen a great uptick of people coming to seek care in the emergency department over the last several weeks due to flu and those other things. That has continued. So the hospitals would ask, please, if you have an emergency, that is the place you need to go. However, if it's a minor illness, something that you could see a private physician for, go to a clinic, put off for a few days, please do that, because you will be triaged in the hospital. Those priorities will take priority and be seen first. Others may be waiting multiple hours, up to 24 hours before being able to see a physician. Talking about the weather in the long term, it was mentioned already, temps will stay below freezing until Thursday. We'll get up to the mid-30s Thursday for a few hours and then drop back below freezing. Over the next few days, we're going to see teens and single digits for lows. And then Thursday, after we hit that high of about 35, 36, it's going to drop below and again will not reach above freezing through at least Sunday. At this point, it looks like Sunday will not get above freezing. So we're looking potentially at Monday before we see above freezing temps again after a brief period on Thursday. We've talked about warming centers. I ask you to check on your family, friends, neighbors, of course, any pets. If you know someone that needs assistance, get them assistance. Again, warming centers in partnership with our partners at the Hospitality Hub of Memphis. 150 Washington, that is the Hospitality Hub's location. They will welcome single women and women with children there. At 915 Chelsea at the Dave Wells Community Center, they're welcoming single men and couples there. Ample space available. We're working with other partners in the community. Should we have additional needs, we will roll out additional resources. But please make note of this. And if you would, media, please make sure this is translated appropriately because we have had some issues. The number for transport to the warming centers, this is only for warming centers, 901-297-1680. 901-297-1680. The standard number to MATA that is published for the public will not take you to this line that will get you a ride for a warming center. So we want to make sure that anyone needs it has the appropriate information. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Gary Rosenfeld with MATA.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Naturally, in a situation like this, safety is our top priority during weather events that may create hazardous travel conditions. The Memphis Transit Authority has a dedicated team of safety professionals that are constantly monitoring the road network so that we can make the necessary adjustments and hopefully deliver more services to the public as conditions improve. We will be doing the following information is for services tomorrow, Tuesday. Fixed route services will continue to be suspended. On-demand services will also be suspended. Trolley services will be suspended. MATA Plus will be providing life-sustaining trips only. The transit centers will be open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. There will be information available there. Our customer service line will be available from 7 p.m. and can be reached at 901-274-6282. And as Greg said, transportation for warming centers can be ordered through 901-297-1680. Customers will be informed about service updates via the MATA website, our OmniAlert automated messages, social media, and we will certainly reach out to the news media as well. Information will also be available at matatransit.com. You can follow us at @RideMATA on Facebook, X or Twitter, and Instagram. We'll do our best to share the information with as much notice as possible so that people can make the necessary plans, as we don't want people standing around waiting for buses for long periods of time in 10-degree weather. It's not safe. So that's one of our major concerns. But I thank you very much for your attention. And now we'll hear from the Hub.
Hospitality Hub is pleased to work with the City of Memphis and MPD and the Office of Emergency Management to operate the emergency warming centers for this weather event. We're 24/7 at 2 locations. You've heard some of this before. I'm just going to reiterate. 590 Washington Avenue is the Hospitality Hub's main campus for women and women with kids. 915 Chelsea at Dave Wells Community Center for men and for couples. We have about 300 people at the last census, 3 meals a day, get a warm blanket. There's no requirement for ID to check in. Come in. We will have some voluntary questions. Where'd you sleep last night? What's your name? Just to help us do the best job that we can to manage your care. So we got a great team working around the clock. I'm super proud of everybody. Folks have asked how you can help. It's a lot of people. So if you bring snacks, we need a lot of snacks, 240 snacks, or a case of water. Cases, not individual packages, will be helpful. Hats, clean gloves are helpful. You can go to the Hospitality Hub website, hospitalityhub.org, and see more about how to get involved and engaged. Thanks.
All right, so we'll open it up for a few weather-related questions, and please speak into the mic so we can make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to hear you.
Yeah, Jeff Calkins from the Daily Memphian. For Doug, are you saying you expect that you will make that order at some point tomorrow, or does that depend on circumstances?
So if you didn't hear, the question was, do I expect that I will issue an energy conservation order? If the conditions continue and there are no changes to the weather patterns or to any kind of generation, then we should not have to do that. However, we've all been around long enough to know that weather conditions sometimes don't develop as forecast. And so what I'm saying is that sometime tomorrow, between tomorrow and Wednesday, my expectation is that I would have to issue that to you. I want you all to be ready to accept that energy conservation alert. If it doesn't happen, then that's a great thing. But I just want everybody to be paying attention to those hours, because quick action is what it's going to take for us to reduce our energy consumption. And the reason I'm saying that, Jeff, is it will be our largest ever demand for electricity in this part of the country. And even though we have significant additional resources and everything is working properly today, this will be uncharted territory for us with respect to the energy demand in this part of the country, not just in the Tennessee Valley, but this part of the country. So it's reasonable to expect that people should, first of all, conserve energy when and where you can, but be paying attention for that alert.
Yes. My question is, how is the city preparing for the next round of weather, considering now it's going to take more than a day to plow some of these roads as well? Could you speak to the priority in terms of plowing roads, certain roads like Sam Cooper, still reports of buildup there?
So the question is, what is the city doing to prepare for the next round of events, and how is it prioritizing its response now? Obviously, we're watching the weather closely. That's the key for us. The forecast has changed several times. I know currently there is a prediction of freezing rain Thursday. So we are going to be responding based on what we know will happen. The next few days will be totally dedicated to clearing the existing roadways and treating those. Plowing is based on locations in the city. We break the city up into grids or quadrants, and we assign plowing to those major thoroughfares that are most heavily utilized. That's the best strategy given the 15 plows of resources we have. We do want citizens to know that plowing of residential streets is not something we're capable of doing. So, but we do request that they be patient and be safe in driving. And if they have an issue or concern about access, they need to contact us.
Director Connect, saying residential streets, aren't going to happen. How many miles of roadway are y'all responsible for, like those major roads that y'all plan to be able to do, and how long do you expect for that to take?
The question is, how big is this? How much infrastructure in terms of lane miles of streets does the city maintain, and how long will it take us to address those? The city is 320 square miles and 6,700 lane miles of streets. Now, of major roadways, there are about 1,000 lane miles of actual major roadways in the city. Our goal is to plow at least one lane in each direction, and it's all going to be based on productivity. It's hard to say. An estimate would be 3 to 5 days, I would imagine, at the current temperatures. The frigid temperatures are what will have the biggest impact on our equipment, since that wear and tear and required maintenance will have to be factored into that.
Hi. Obviously, every storm and weather event is unique and has its own challenges. I feel like so often we stand here and talk to you about ice as a problem. What is this storm like? What have been the challenges in this storm?
The question is, what's the unique challenges about this storm, whereas ice has been more of a challenge in the past? Yes, we were fortunate that this snow is more powdery in nature. I think that's been stated, which means it doesn't stick or hold to the surface as much as we typically would see, making it easier to remove. Because of the quantity of snow, it is more imperative to plow, whereas you would typically just put salt and sand down. So that's where we're going to have to place our importance and prioritization now, because if we can get as much of the roadway clear, then we can treat again and mitigate against a future event. That will be helpful in addressing the next event that should be predicted if it does follow the forecast that's been shared with us by National Weather Service.
Can you speak to the challenges of treating these roads between these different weather events? I mean, we had rain, then we had snow, and now we've got freezing rain coming too. What sort of challenges does that pose?
Yeah, the question is, what is the differences or challenges in treating roadways given the different conditions? When we have ice, there's a different, we have the same strategy in pre-treating by applying brine. That's just a standard that the TDOT and the city utilizes, and that's just to protect the roadway from the bonding of the precipitation. When you have ice, that's a strategy that happens, and you just treat it with salt and sand. When you have high volumes of frozen precipitation like snow, salt and sand does not work as well, because you got to get it to this road surface itself. So if you apply salt and sand on a couple inches of snow, it's minimally impactful. So that's why plowing is important, because you want to have access to the closest access you can to the road surface to apply the material to get the most benefit out of it.
All right, this is for Mayor Young. First of all, congratulations
Thank you.
on the election, and thank you to all the division heads who are here today. Around the same time you issued a state of emergency, Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris did as well. What has your dialogue been with him? Was he invited to this news conference? And also, was the Shelby County Sheriff invited?
Yeah, so we have been coordinating with Shelby County EMA. Ms. Brenda Jones is here with us. I did have an exchange with Mayor Harris last night. We were talking about coordinating the plowing of roads, and so they're going to be deploying some of their plows on the county roads. And so there's a lot of coordination. Hadn't had a direct conversation with Sheriff, but I'm sure that they are working as well. This is one of those efforts where we put all hands on deck. Our community needs us right now, and we're going to pull together and get through this. Thank you. All right, seeing no other question. Oh, one more.
Yeah, there was some conversation last budget season about buying more snow plows, and it was not prioritized. Is that a mistake? I mean, what do we look at going forward? Is that needed?
Well, I wasn't here for last budget season around the plows, but certainly we're going to be having those discussions in the aftermath of this. We'll talk about what priorities we need to prioritize for budget season. But I don't know if you want to add anything, Director.
I would say, the mayor, we have a budget season to come up with and make it some decisions, and that will guide what actions we take.
And I've got a hospitality hub question. County Commissioner Brittany Thornton posted about a homeless woman that was stuck outside the hospitality hub location. The people weren't letting her in. Apparently she was on the phone. Are you familiar with this situation? Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke with Commissioner Thornton last night. So the 590 site that has a double door system. There's an outer vestibule and inner vestibule. The inner doors are kept locked. There's security in the lobby to open the doors immediately when someone shows up. The outer doors are open, so you can get in out of the cold, but you do get that hard pull unless you're right there at the exact same time that they open the door for you. It's a complicated population, and our priority is to keep people safe and warm. So unfortunately, the doors being locked is part of it. But we have security on site, and there's someone manning the doors at all times.
What is your name and title?
I'm Jared Bingham. I have strategic development at the Hospitality Hub.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming out. We're going to consider this the end of this press conference, and we will keep you all apprised for the next one. Thank you.